So for today, I've been reflecting on the transition we're making with the season. So we are moving from that dry, cold air, the ground was frozen, and we're moving into a time of wet, right? We had, for those of us in Wisconsin, we had that wet, those thunderstorms last night, and there's a bit of heaviness. And the heaviness can sit right here in our lungs, typically have more respiratory issues around this time of month. So that's what we'll be working on today in our R&R session. I am Shelly Maxwell. I'm an EAP counselor here with Wisconsin's Ascension EAP. I have 12 other colleagues. We are spread around the state. I am full-time in Oshkosh, and I have been a counselor for many years. I also teach yoga. And so it's been a delight the last year and a half being able to share these monthly R&R sessions with you all, where we can do some relaxation, some chair yoga, which is basically just stretching, and hitting that reset button. We know that when we come to that place of rest and restoration while awake, that it greatly improves our sense of contentment, well-being, peace, but then it also is reflected in being more productive, being able to concentrate a little bit better for the rest of the day. And I do hope that whatever you take from today, you bring it with you throughout the rest of your week. And we do record these. It's recording now, so you can always find these on our YouTube channel. If you search under YouTube, Wisconsin Ascension EAP, it'll pop up. You can click on our videos, but we also have a playlist with all the R&R sessions. So obviously there's folks who want to be with us today who can't because of time conflicts. And so they're able to go and watch the session at a different time. And you can always plug in extra time in your calendar to visit that or do your own stretching or breathing on your own time. So with that said, let's move on. I had the delight of being in Vancouver for spring break 2 weeks ago, and that was my first time in British Columbia. We were visiting family, friends, and my friend, she just lives in this beautiful neighborhood by a city park, which is really this enormous forest, and we would take like an hour and a half walk every morning, bring our tea, walk her dog. I've never seen so many dogs in my life. And it was just a really beautiful time, wet there as well. And that's where I, have been reflecting on how we respond to heaviness. And so what's also going on this season is we just had the spring equinox, right? Which means equal day, equal night. And so these seasons help us reevaluate where is our balance right now. So for instance, with heaviness, we're coming out of this hibernation mode. If we're not keeping that in check, we can move into a lot of lethargy where we just feel really blah, or we get a little bit more tense and we typically want to control things. And then we get the tightness all up here rather than feeling grounded. And so if you think about it for a minute, the difference you might feel between feeling grounded, right? And think about the words you might use to describe groundedness. For me, it might be more settled, at ease, more self-assured, right? So when we think about groundedness versus trying to control, right? So now where did that energy of control shift? For me, it shifts out of my lower body, that groundedness, and more up here, my shoulders, my heart center, my ribs. Like I just feel tight, right? And what would be the accumulation of that tenseness, that desire to control over time versus feeling rooted? Okay, so here, this is where trees are extremely symbolic, right? When you think about the roots here of the tree, the trunk, we have a posture in yoga that we call mountain pose. And typically when we're doing our grounding, which we'll move into, it's partly how I prompt my students in class to move through what's called Tadasana, mountain pose. But that same idea that you are anchored, you are rooted, and you are lifting up. Okay, so take a moment here to feel that rootedness, that groundedness that you can experience just sitting in your chair. Right? Let the hips sink, let the legs release into your chair. Let your feet come to the floor. Bring both of them down, and maybe even bring your ankles under your knees. Maybe relax the lower back. Let it lean against the back of your chair if you're in a chair with a back. Okay. And what does that groundedness feel like to you? Now you could compare it and now move into that sense of, I need to control, right? And then release that control and ground again. You might think of yourself in a business meeting or something related to home, right? Where we might go up and then our shoulders come up to our ears, our jaw is tight. And then it's like, wait a minute, do I really need to be this tense? Can I still listen and tend to what's in front of me, but relax my shoulders, relax my jaw, and come to that sense of groundedness? Okay. Maybe think about the rootedness of a tree. And as we come into that sense of rootedness, let's also come into that sense of lightness. Okay, the lightness of the upper body, the lightness of the shoulders, across the collarbones, the neck, right? The front with the throat. Find ease and relaxation in the throat here. Swallow. The sides of the neck. Soften. The back of the neck. And now lift through from the ears all the way up to the crown of the head. Relax your tongue from the roof of your mouth. If your teeth are clenched, unclench the jaw. And feel that sense of rootedness and liftedness and the absence of control, right? Control in that sense of external tense. You have an internal control right now. Bring awareness to your solar plexus, your navel center, your abdominals, and feel that strength. Feel that inner strength in the side body, right? Just the muscles along the sides, the abductors that lift. And notice that when you come in alignment, your shoulders over your hips, your ankles under your knees, your skeletal weight or your skeleton can hold your weight. You don't have to use so much muscle and strength when you're aligned. So you see where I'm going with this? Okay. All right. So let's move a little bit further and think about, oh my gosh, I love this image of just the joy of feeling rooted and light. So go ahead and come into this posture. So notice where his seat is. He's sitting in the middle of his chair. He's leaning back The shoulders are against the top of the chair, and he's not schlumping, right? His spine is straight. And this is really important because his lungs can breathe. Now, is he thinking of that? No. All he is enjoying is this lovely stretch. So let's go ahead and bring our feet out so we can really push through the feet, and then lift those hands up over your head. The palms are facing towards the sky, and his spine is lengthening. He's smiling and looking up. So bring your chin up, bring a grin across the face, and press those hands towards the ceiling. Maybe hug the navel center in, and just feel how good it is to stretch. Now release the effort of the stretch, but hold this posture and breathe. Let the abdomen fill as you take a deep breath in. Exhale, let the navel center cave in, maybe pressing towards the spine ever so gently. And let's bring in a counted breath. So a 3-count breath in, letting that belly expand. Exhale on 3, bringing in the effort to hug the navel center in. Now let's go for a 4-count breath, breathing in on 4. And exhale on 4. And by now your hands are probably starting to fall asleep, so you can go ahead and release the hands down to your side. Now let's come into a seated posture, so you can scoot back again. Root through the sits bones, hands rest in your lap, and again, engage that diaphragmatic breath. Inhaling, releasing the effort of squeezing the navel center. Let that navel center, that abdomen expand. And then exhale, bring it in. Almost feeling like you could stitch your front ribs together. Inhale. And exhale. Now, keeping with that breath, but release the effort of the breath. I just want to make sure, though, that you are breathing diaphragmatically and not doing the reverse breathing. Okay, let that belly breath be deep. And imagine the color green. So in the yoga tradition, the Eastern tradition, when we talk about chakras, energy centers, the heart center is a chakra region, and the green is the color. And so, like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of times during this season, we're seeing the sprouting of green, but there can be a heaviness in our lungs, in our respiratory system. So I want you to imagine your lungs opening up. Is there any heaviness here in the heart center, here in the chest area? And can we soften the edges of that tension and that heaviness? Can you help it to be a little bit lighter? Very good. So let's now move into some of our chair yoga or chair stretches, and keeping that sense of lightness. Let's, I'm just fiddling. Okay. So let's start with our feet. Usually I'm starting with our necks and our head and moving down. We're going to do the reverse because we're focusing on our roots. So pick up that right foot and lengthen it so the leg is maybe even parallel to the floor. Point and flex the foot. And now rotate the ankle. Reverse direction. Bend the knee, keep that foot lifted off the floor, and now swing. Swing the foot so it's coming forward and backward. Now really engage those lower abdominals. but keep a sense of ease. You don't need to tense up. You're just using the groundedness of your inner strength. Now bring that foot back to center, keep it lifted, and we're going to swing side to side. Now, this is harder to do when we're seated. When we're standing, it would be easier. So maybe come to a 45-degree angle where the toes point towards that center line and the heels come towards the outer edge of your seat. Do that a couple of times, breathing too. Okay, now bring it back to center. Right foot plants down under the right knee and lift the left leg. Point and flex the foot. And rotate your ankle. So this is like our sap, taking care of our joints. This really important fluids that lubricate our joints. It also helps our lymphatic system. And now swing that left leg forward and back with the knee bent. Breathe. Use your internal strength, those abdominals. Relax the shoulders. And now swing, toes coming towards the center, heel coming towards the outer edge. Good. Now bring the left foot down to meet the right and notice the difference here. Notice the sensations that you're experiencing physically. If you're feeling a tingling, right, that means we've got the blood circulating, cells are getting nourished. Now let's move to the hips. So we've worked our feet, our ankles, and now we're going to move to our hips. So I just scooted towards the middle of my seat because we're going to do some hip circles. And so this is challenge by choice. You guys have your cameras off, so we can't see anybody. But what we could do, and you're going to feel a little bit like a Polynesian belly dancer, but I want you to draw circles on your seat with your tailbone. Okay. Now, if this is a little too weird for you, you could always do just a regular hip circle and we're going to move into this, but you could just do this right away. So either way, now reverse direction. Again, you're breathing, you're engaging those abdominals. And now we're going to make, we're going to do a wider hip circle. So reversing direction, coming to that first direction you went. I find it helpful to plant my hands on my thighs and bend the elbows so I can really get in and start making this more of a dramatic movement. And reverse direction. Good. Let's come back to center and move through a few cat-cows. So if you're new to this, cat-cow is when we move forward and back with the breath. So inhaling, we bring the heart center open, we squeeze the shoulder blades, chin comes forward, we're arching the back. And then cat is when you exhale and you bring the shoulders towards each other, you open the back of the neck, the back of the heart, and you hug that navel center, and you just move with your breath. Let's do this 3 times. Breathing through the nose, exhaling either through the nose, but sometimes it can be nice to exhale out the mouth. One more time, each direction. Coming back to center and find your goddess arms. So elbows are aligned with the shoulders, palms are open. And we're going to come into a side bend. So with this side bend, I'm going to turn my right palm so it faces the ceiling. My left palm is going to face the right. Inhale back to center and exhale over to the left. Inhale back to center. One more time, each side. Exhale. Inhale. Now root through those sits bones. Try to keep your pelvic bowl level. We're using the abdominals and we're not forcing this. Okay, just go over as far as you're able to go. No forcing, no controlling, just listen to your body. And come back. And now let's clasp the hands behind our head, arch, bring that heart center, let it shine up towards the sky, the ceiling, open the elbows, lift the chin, feel that curve in the lower back and breathe. And then on your exhale, bring the elbows towards each other as if you're coming into cat again. Hug that navel center in, really use the traction of your feet and open up the back. One more time, inhaling. And exhaling, curl it in. Coming back to center, release the hands and bring opposite hand, opposite shoulder. And shrug, like bring your knees, your legs together, squeeze the legs together, squeeze the shoulders, curl up into a ball, hug that chin towards the sternum. And then release. It's one of my favorites. All right, let's move into the neck now, right? So we open up the side bodies. We've got our shoulders loosened up. Bring the chin down. Inhale, roll the right ear to the right shoulder and hold for 3 breath cycles. Release the sits bones, the glutes, the hips. Release the shoulders and the jaw. Notice where there might be sensation of tension or control, and release. Find that inner sense of strength and stability. When you're done with the 3rd breath, bring the chin back to center and do 3 breath cycles here. And now roll the left ear to the left shoulder and just let it gently come over. Again, we're hugging that navel center in, releasing the glutes and the hips, letting the feet stabilize us. The hands can be resting on your thighs. Find the ease, the structure, the alignment here. Close your eyes if they're not closed already. Good. And now bring that chin back down towards the sternum. Take a moment here. Really register this feeling, this contentment, maybe this gratitude for giving yourself this time. Inhale, lift the chin, straighten the left leg, and we're going to cross the right ankle either over the shin, or if you can pull that leg up over the thigh. Now, once you've got your foot position, drag that heel in to where you feel like you have some support and stability. We're going to come into tree pose, the seated tree pose. So here, right, we've got our structure, we've got our trunk, our feet are our roots. We're going to lift our arms, find your limbs. And it can be helpful when you find your limbs to curve the pinkies in towards each other. Now you're really going to need to engage that navel center. Imagine the lower abdominals and see if you can find the upper abdominals, as if you could hold them, suck them up into the ribs. You could move your wrists, rotate, reverse direction. Now come into a side bend. So let that right arm come down onto the armrest or your thigh. The left arm comes over. Come back to center and now find a twist. So the hands come to the outside of that right leg and you're twisting from the torso. And then come back to center. Release the right foot down to meet the left. Lengthen the right leg, cross that left ankle over the shin or pull it up onto that thigh. Drag the heel back in to where you feel like you have that stability. and reach up, reach your arms up, your limbs up. Hug that navel center in. Rotate the wrists. Reverse direction. Now bring that left arm down for support onto the leg or an armrest, and side bend over that right bicep, meeting the right ear. Relax the effort. Come back to center. Swing that right arm around to hold the outside of the left knee. The left arm, the left hand can come to the outside of the left leg and twist. So really rooting those hips down, lifting through the crown of the head. And you'll find that you have more space to twist the more you lift and lengthen. Good. And then we're going to come back to center. So come back, and we're going to, you might be able to stay in the middle of your chair. We're going to come into that original posture, right? But instead of our hands being up here, we're going to place one hand on our heart center, one on the belly, and we're going to bring the bottoms of our feet together. This is a form of Supta Baddha Konasana, so a reclined cobbler pose. And just take a moment here to enjoy the nectar of your practice here. You can let your head release back onto the chair. Find a sense of ease and notice this Mobius strip, this infinity symbol of your feet connecting, your arms connecting, and imagine your energy just circling through this infinite connection. And I'll share a poem for you that I found, written by Nina Hayen. It's called Embrace Ease. Nature never struggles. Rivers flow, flowers grow. Life does not labor. Moments flow, people grow, naturally unfolding, expanding into space, sprung from seeds of destiny, a steady stream towards the sea. Gently now, follow the path that every flower must embrace to bloom into being. So taking a nice deep breath in, imagining yourself moving with the flow of the day, being flexible, being adaptable, being able to notice when you're tensing up, and finding ways to soften the tension, the tightening and release, knowing that you have that inner stability, you have that inner wisdom, that inner confidence to help you navigate. You are a creative problem solver, as I often remind my family, my kids especially, my clients. And with that, so today's keyword was ground for those of you who are able to get wellness points for participating. And there was a question about being able to find these recordings. And yes, you can find them on our YouTube channel, Ascension, Wisconsin, EAP. There is a playlist with all the R&R sessions. Typically, these are posted maybe even by the end of the week, but most definitely by next week. And you have access to us even outside the R&R sessions. Our lunch and learns are every other month. And if you need support, if you need to talk to anyone, you can call our 1-800 number or email us to schedule a session. And And we'll meet with you, we'll explore what we're able to do with you, but typically we can see people from anywhere from 4 to 8 sessions. It depends on what your employer has contracted with us. And everything you say with us is confidential, it's anonymous. Employers don't know that you are using the service. Okay, so we do not give them a list of names. So we hope that this served you well today. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to email us at eap@ascension.org or give us a call. But we hope that you, check out the playlist and continue your practice through the month. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the recording. And